Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. Well, this week we're going to have a bit of a funky groove featuring what I believe is now officially our most frequently appearing artist, as well as the first appearance of an absolute songwriting legend. The first song is Georgy, Porgy by Toto, and the second song is 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. Now, for those wondering why there are so many Toto songs in these, aside from the fact that I'm a huge fan, I honestly don't know. For some reason, their songs tend to lend themselves really well to some great segues with classic songs, whereas for some reason artists like Elton John, who I featured last week, I only have 2 or 3 in the catalog. So I'm not playing favorites as much as it might seem. I'm just presenting what I come up with. You'll notice I have tried to space out how often certain artists reappear. I try to put as many as I can in between, just so we don't get too monotonous here. But as I mentioned, this is also the first appearance of Paul Simon, though it certainly will not be the last. Both songs are based in an E minor scale, although the chorus of 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover is actually in G, which is the relative major, though it's G Mixolydian, which is a whole different conversation, but that's not important for the segue. They both are at pretty much the same tempo, and both are very groove-centric. The drum parts are fairly notable, but seeing as I'm not playing drums, you're just going to have to take my word for it. Now, Georgy Porgy was one of the big hits off the first Toto record, which is simply called Toto, along with Hold the Line and I'll Supply the Love. It was the first big hit with Steve Lukather singing lead vocals as well. And a verse... The structure of the song is a little difficult to describe. I mean, it's obvious what's the verse and a refrain, kind of. You know what, I'm just going to play a bit of it, and you'll see what I mean, because this is where the vocals start. It's not your situation, I just need contemplation over you. I'm not so systematic, it's just that I'm an addict for your love. I'm not the only one that holds you, never ever should have told you you're my only girl. The only one that holds you, I never ever should have told you you're my only world. I think that's a verse, then you have another one. Just think how long I've known you, it's wrong for me to own your lock and key. It's really not confusing, I'm just a young illusion, can't you see? Not the only one that holds you, I never ever should have told you you're my only girl. Not the only one that holds you, I never ever should have told you you're my only world. And then there's a cycle that I believe you'd consider the chorus. It has a woman singing lead whose name I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Singing an octave higher than I am, just for simplicity here. Georgy, Porgy, pudding pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. Georgy, Porgy, pudding pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. Georgy, Porgy, pudding pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. Kiss the girls and made them cry. Kiss the girls and made them cry. And that cycle of chords is very important to the song. In fact, when they perform it live, they often, before the first verse, start with this progression, which is a strange progression. You got E minor 7, A major 9 over the 3rd over C sharp. The weirdest of all, G minor over B flat with an F sharp in the bass. And then depending on the version, either a B minor 7 or a B7 both with a flat 13, which is a G natural for my less musically inclined friends. So this progression is very important to the song. And as I mentioned, often they start with that, and they certainly end with that as a jam, vocal and instrumental over this changing progression. And this this sort of, I guess you'd call it a riff, that this timing use here of the progression is also very key. And so we're definitely going to use that. Now, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover is on the Paul Simon album Still Crazy After All These Years, which, in spite of how how massive Graceland is, Still Crazy might be my favorite Paul Simon record. I'm not sure, really. There's so much good stuff with Paul Simon. The song starts in E minor, and it starts with, as I mentioned, a pretty well-known drum groove. And this is a verse chorus of it. And you can hear that it also makes good use of the dominant chord, which is a B7. And gets this flat 13, this G natural over the B7, involved in the same way Georgy Porgy does. So this is a verse chorus of 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Problems all inside your head, she said to me. The answer's easy if you take it logically. I'd like to help you in your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. She said it's really not my habit to intrude. Furthermore, I hope my meaning won't be lost or misconstrued. So I'll repeat myself. At the risk of being crude, there must be 50 ways to leave your lover. 50 ways to leave your lover. Just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. No need to be coy, Roy. Just listen to me. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free. Failed to hit that high note there. But as you can hear, it goes to a different key. And then when it goes back to the verse, it just goes back, just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free. She said, it grieves me so to see you in such pain. Wish there was something I could do. It just goes right back into the E minor progression. Now, you can probably hear where this is going. As I mentioned, Georgy Porgy ends with a jam over this progression. And what better way, in fact, a lot of times in Georgy Porgy, when something new is about to happen, a new verse, vocals coming back in, a solo, etc., they do the stop pattern. So you can just easily, right after that, rather than going back to just start the 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover progression. That would sound something like this. See, Georgy Porgy put in pie, kissed the girls and made them cry, kissed the girls and made them cry, kissed the girls and made them cry. Problems all inside your head, she said to me. The answer's easy if you take it logically. I'd like to help you in your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. And if you wanted to make it a little bit smoother, this is what I tend to do, is you could do the 50 Ways progression instrumentally once before starting the vocals. So. inside your head, she said to me. You know, do what I tried to do there, is throw in a couple bass lines to fill in the space. And again, just to make it smoother, because both of these, it's the same type of, the chords change twice as quickly in 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, but it's the same type of cycle progression groove. And it always ends on this B7 with the flat 13, which always goes back to the 1 minor, which is E minor, so it's very easy to do that. Now, I like to just do Georgy Porgy into 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, mainly because to end 50 Ways, I stole the ending from an old Brew song called Hunter's Moon that I really like. It goes like this. Hop on the bus, Gus, don't need to discuss much, just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free. But I do very briefly go back into Georgy Porgy after the first chorus of 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. And there's only 2 verses and 2 choruses of 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. It's first chorus, first chorus. So, as I mentioned, at the end of the chorus, it just goes back to the E minor section. Just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free. She said, it grieves me so to see you in such pain. So it just goes right back to that. So rather than just go straight to that, you can cameo the stop pattern from Georgy Porgy, which would be something like this. No need to discuss much, just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free. It grieves me so to see you in such pain. Wish there was something I could do to make you see you smile again. I said, I appreciate that. Oh, could you please explain about those 50 ways? And so that's a really cool way to cameo it. And if you wanted to go back into, if you don't know the Brew and don't know this very specific and obscure ending, if you wanted to go back into Georgy Porgy to end it, you could just do the same thing after the second chorus. Drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free. Or, if you wanted to do 50 Ways first, you probably wouldn't cameo the stop pattern after the first chorus, but you just play through 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, and after the chorus, after the last chorus, just get yourself free. It's not your situation, I just need contemplation over you. I'm not so systematic, it's just that I'm an addict for your love. And there you go. So there's a number of different things you can do with that. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching. As always, I will see you next week.